It's the 94th running of the Canadian Derby here at Century Mile as Mano Dura, winner of the Manitoba Derby, looking to capture the second leg of the Western Canada Triple Crown. An exciting day of racing, including an all-stakes late pick 4.
We have a full field of 12 coming up for the Canadian Derby. We're joined today by Bailey Williams from Hastings and Kirt and Stretch from the Assiniboia Downs to preview the $200,000 Grade 3 Canadian Derby.
Thanks, Jentry. The Canadian Derby, what an exciting race after the Manitoba Derby, where we did see Mano Dura get the job done. But are we going to go to Mano Dura? Well, I am not. I'm going to number 6, A Belief in This Living. This horse ran a couple of really solid races 2 and 3 outs ago at Oaklawn Park. This horse was able to rally really nicely after being very close to the pace and ran a very game second, beating Heroic Move, who is the 9-2 horse in here. And then in the comeback race, this horse had to be on the far outside and had to run into Scotland, which wasn't an easy task, as Scotland did come back to win a stakes race at Saratoga. A Belief in This Living. I love the tactical running style, as the horse does have speed, draws an inside post position that's absolutely huge, was not going to beat Reincarnate or Skinner in the last race, and didn't have Lasix in there, gets it back today. So this is going to be my top play in the Canadian Derby. What about you, Stretch?
Really? You just took my horse. You just read my notes.
Okay,
all right.
Well, so it's my turn too.
I agree with you completely. Great top selection. I'm going to just mention a couple of the other ones not to leave out. I am going to talk about Mano Dura 2 back. That horse really impressed me. That's why I included him in the Derby, not as my top selection, but just because of how game this horse is. Won 4 races, got a dream trip in the Derby. Might get a dream trip again along the rail. If does, watch out. Looks like this horse can just kind of keep going. A couple other ones out in the parking lot, post 10 and 11. Got to include a couple of those. Obviously, Heroic Moon was the big favorite here at the Derby. Got pressured a little bit. Might not have to get pressured. Could be wide, but has the talent to be there. And kind of the other sleeper that you may not understand the different track formations, whereas at Hastings, a lot more turns, more of a bull ring. You have more time to close at Century Mile, so I've got to include the 10 in there in the exactor. And so I'm kind of an exactor player. So I'm going to go with my bets. I'm going to use the 2 and 6 on top, make it a $5 exactor with 2, 3, 6, 10, 11. Just in case somebody gets in trouble. There's so many horses in there. That can happen. So just in case Kirt and I are not right, we got it. $40 total. Kirt, what's your bet?
I'm going to go 50 to place on the 6. And now over to you, Bailey.
Thanks, guys. Local trainer Terry Jordan is no stranger to getting those stakes victories. He will be sending out number 3, Sunbird. That is my top choice here in the Canadian Derby. I love this horse's post position. I think that that's an ideal draw for him. We saw in the Sir Winston Churchill that he can break super alert, and I like that he doesn't have to use a lot to get and maintain the lead. He was able to determine the fractions that day, and I think that it'll be a similar setup here in the Canadian Derby. He'll be able to settle early and maintain that momentum for the whole 1.25-mile race. He didn't really have many threats that day coming down the lane. He did not have to use a lot of himself to maintain that victory. Even with the improved 89 buyer, I think there's still more this horse has to offer. Talking with trainer Terry Jordan after the race, he was mentioning how he's just very impressed with this horse's versatility and the class that he shows. That'll play a huge factor come Saturday, as it is a full field of 12, as well as all of the crowd and everything that happens on Derby Day. I think the class and the rate ability of this horse is what is going to shine through. I'm going to use an exactor 3 with 2 and 12 for my Derby wager. Back to you, Dylan and Jentry at Century Mile.
Lots of horses in this field with Alberta connections, including my top pick, the 12 American Blaze. Trainer Tom Rycroft seeking for his first Canadian Derby win. 15-1 on the morning line, a winner of 2 straight here at Century Mile, including the Count Latham last time out. A winner in dramatic fashion, just getting up by a neck, should benefit with the extra 3/16 of a mile for the Canadian Derby. And post 12 should be much of a concern with the off-the-pace running style.
American Blaze is also my top choice in here for those exact reasons, but moving over one hole to the 11 spot is Heroic Move, coming in for the
ever dangerous Canadian Derby connections of Robertino Diodoro and Rico Walcott. They're looking for their 5th Canadian Derby win together. Heroic move coming off of a second place finish in the Manitoba Derby. Kind of a disappointing finish there as the heavy favorite, but got into some trouble. I think he's going to improve off of that start in here. Looking back to the Iowa Derby, ran a really solid 3rd place finish. If you want to look at a different angle in here, this horse has run under the lights, running in that Iowa Derby at night. Post time for the Canadian Derby is at 9:15.
My wager for the Canadian Derby will be a $20 win place on 12 American Blaze.
My wager will be a $5 exacta wheel on the 12 with 3, 7, and 11.
What an exciting day of racing at the Century Mile. There's 4 big stakes races, over $500,000 in purses up for grabs. And of course, the big one, the Canadian Derby.
Yeah, so plus there's also a $50,000 guaranteed pick 4 and a $25,000 pick 5. I'll be playing both, Kirt.
We might as well buddy bet that.
Well, we could buddy bet it.
I'll split it.
All right.
I'll
very
even
good.
let you pay for it.
Thank you.
No problem.
And don't forget the 3rd and final leg of the Western Triple Crown, the BC Derby, is September 16th, right here, live at Hastings Racecourse in beautiful British Columbia.
Be sure to join us here this Saturday, August 26th, here at Century Mile for the 94th running of the Canadian Derby, an action-packed 12-race card beginning at 3:45.
Tickets are still available online at showpass.com or at the door. If you're unable to join us in person, you can watch and wager online at hpibet.com. Best of luck with your wagers.